We're ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Take 3 Summit thing, whatever this is called. Schmoedown Reactor Summit. It's a long
Take this
title.
reactor.
Yeah, it's a long title. Also, we don't really do a lot of reactions anymore, so the title's a little weird, but that's okay. We're still here. We still do this. We've got some special guests on this week, though, because Matt and Malcolm are both busy. But we have Abe, who may or may not chime in with his thoughts. Abe, how are you?
I'm great.
Great. Thank you, strangers in the night, everybody. We also have some strangers in the night. We have James White. How's it going, James?
Hey, Kristen, I'm great, man. Thanks for having me here. It's exciting to be on with my former tag partner in Brandon Hanna, so I'm excited to be on with them.
Yes, that is for why you were invited, because we do have the one and the only newest competitor to the Schmoedown, Brandon, the Hitman Hanna. How are you today, Brandon?
I am doing very well. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here and to be with my former teammate, James White.
Yes, I am excited. We're going to talk a little bit to Brandon about just, his upcoming match, because it is on Patreon at this moment. However, a lot of people won't have been able to see it yet, so no spoilers. We're not going to talk spoilers about the match, but we are going to talk about, some expectations about the league that he has, how he wants to play his character, that kind of stuff, non-spoilery things. And then we're going to talk about the matches. So we're going to start with the matches this week. We had Eric Zipper versus Adam Hlavac. Some really good stuff in that match. And we also had a great match, something people were really looking forward to, against Paul Oyama and Chance Ellison. I think that the page kind of exploded a little bit after this match. A lot of people from the fan leagues take these guys very seriously. So we have a lot to talk about with that match as well. We're going to start it off with this Inner Geekdom match. I really enjoyed this match. I wasn't sure how well these two guys were going to do, just because I think people see Inner Geekdom right now as three people and everyone else is just terrible or not great. And man, I thought that they really delivered. It was a really good round one for both of them. It was a really good round two, especially for Zipper, who picked a category who, that wasn't really his strength. He still did pretty well on it. And then round three ended up being interesting. We'll talk about round three. There's some points we probably should make about round three, but I want to get everyone's opinions on this match. So we're going to shoot it off to Brandon, who's our newest Inner Geekdom competitor. How did you like this match? And do you have anything in particular you want to bring up about it outside of maybe something we'll discuss about round three?
Well, I mean, overall, it was a great match. Adam Hlavac is one of the best in the division right now, and he played a very strong match. He spun one of his biggest strengths in DC in round two. And honestly, after that, Zipper should have been done, especially after having a weak round one. But I was actually really impressed by what Eric Zipper was able to do in round two and scratch and claw his way back to where I believe they were tied going into round three. So it was definitely an entertaining match where both competitors did really well.
Yeah, I mean, I really agree with you. And I would assume that your take on this, being an actual competitor in Inner Geekdom now, is maybe a little bit, I mean, you're definitely on the inside anyway, but now you really are, since you're a competitor in that league. But hearing you say that you were impressed with them and that they had a really good match means a lot more than me saying it, since I don't compete. So I really like having you on for this, because I think that these guys are overlooked a lot in the league, especially Hlavac, who is very much a bridesmaid, where he lost
That's true.
Second place a lot of times. So we'll see if he can make his run this year and do something impressive after this match. James, what did you think about this match? Anything you want to bring up about it?
Well, you and Brandon both just hit on 2 points that I was thinking about myself. They were both great matches. Or both great competitors, but the thing that everybody overlooks Adam Hlavac, and he is a beast when it comes to the Inner Geekdom. His record does not reflect the type of competitor he is. And Zipper really, really impressed me this match. Like Brandon said, he didn't have a very good round 1, but the way he battled back in round 2 and hung in there with, one of the best there is in Adam Hlavac. So Zipper really, really impressed me. And I just think people need to not overlook Adam Hlavac. And I think Zipper's kind of made a name for himself with that match, hanging toe-to-toe with him, that he's not to be messed with.
I agree with you completely. I think there are a lot of competitors in the league that people just kind of overlook, and I'm definitely guilty of this because I forgot how many matches Zipper has even been in. I was like, oh, this is his debut, and then I'm like, no, it's not. It's not his debut. He's only had one match, and then I was like, no, he's had a couple matches. So, I mean, I'm really guilty of this, just because I think some of his matches have been a little more one-sided. This is definitely, to me, the first showing he's had where he's just been really impressive the whole time, outside of round 3. That brings us to a nice segue, though, because round 1, I think they both had a really good showing. Round 2, personally, I thought Hlavac's round was a little harder question-wise, but he did really well outside of those 2 steals Zipper had. Zipper's round 2, not his strength. I thought the questions were maybe a little easier, but I'm also better at Harry Potter than some other categories. Round 3.
Those were easy Harry Potter questions.
I thought they were.
They were very easy Harry Potter questions.
I mean, people who don't know Harry Potter maybe, but I thought they were pretty easy. Round 3, the 2-pointers for both of them I thought were good. Hlavac's 3-pointer I thought was maybe a little easier. For me, if you can guess the answer without having seen the movie, maybe it's too easy to be a 3-pointer. And I think his, Thor puts his hammer on him. You could maybe just surmise Thor has a hammer that no one can move except him. Probably a good way to trap someone. Zipper's 3-pointer was, for someone who knows Lord of the Rings, like, that is a hard question. Like, that is Orthanc and Bardur. Like, they mention those names in the movies maybe once. Like, it's like in passing, like one time. It's hard. And it's not even, you have to name one. You have to name both of them. So I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on this. If there's, a disparity with these 3-pointer questions being some of them a lot easier, some of them a lot harder. James, what did you think about this question? Was it maybe a little too hard for a 3-pointer?
I think that it was ridiculously hard for a 3-point question. I'm not the biggest Middle Earth guy, so when they asked that, you could have made up 2 words and I've been like, yep, sure, that's it. But that's a 5-point question. That's a fair 5-point question, I believe. If you know Middle Earth, you should be able to get that with 5 points. I just feel that the difficulty for a 3-pointer should, like you said, it should be, at least surmisable. But at the same time, I think that the 3-point question that Adam got was a fair 3-point question. I don't think it was too easy for 3. I just think that the Middle Earth question was definitely too hard for a 3.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Maybe I'm seeing it as easier just because there was such a disparity between, his question and what Eric got. At least in my mind, I thought one was definitely easier than the other. From a competitor's point of view, now that I just like calling you a competitor, Brandon, I'm just going to keep doing it because it makes me so happy that you're finally getting this chance. From a competitor's point of view, what did you think about this 3-pointer? And do you see this happening a lot where there's kind of this disparity between questions for 3-pointers?
Well, first of all, thank you for being happy for me. That makes me happy. But I'm not normally a person to go after the question writers. Most of the time, I'm a firm believer that if you lose, it's on you 100%. Your competitor played a better match than you. The pointing fingers or making excuses is what losers do, and you're not going to win a championship that way. However, I do have to agree that Zipper's 3-pointer was much more difficult than Adam's. Having to know Barad-dûr and Orthanc compared to knowing that he puts his hammer on Loki's chest. if you were to watch all 3 Lord of the Rings movies and then watch that Thor movie, you would easily remember the hammer on the chest, but there's no way you would remember Baradur and Orthanc, 2 ridiculous made-up words that you would only know if you were a Lord of the Rings fan.
Hey, they're important made-up words.
They are. I love. They're my favorite movies of all time. I totally get it. I'm just trying to think of it objectively, and I think if the question was name one of the 2 towers, I think that's a fair 3-pointer. To name both, though, to me, that's more 5-point territory.
Yeah, anything where you have to name multiples, for me, automatically makes it harder. And we actually had this in the other recently. Was it Paul and Chance's match where he had to name 2? Yeah, it was Chance.
Yeah.
Chance had to name 2 movies, and it was a 2-pointer. I'm like, well, they're easy movies, but it's still 2 of them. So
Right.
for me, anything where there's multiples, because it throws you off when you have to remember more than one thing, should be higher than a 2-pointer. And for, yeah, like you said, words that are made up maybe should be higher than a 3. You know, we can surmise about that all we want, but at least in this case, it did seem like that was pretty clear. And maybe it's more disappointing to me just because Zipper had one heck of a match coming back from where he was in the first round by getting those 2 steals and then doing really well in a category he really didn't want. It just kind of bummed me out that he seemed to be dealt a hard card on that 3-pointer. But yeah, so in the post-match interviews, Zipper brought up that he would like to take on the Scream Queens with Paul. And, you know, obviously they're a new team. The Scream Queens, you know, have a record and they don't. So maybe it's not the most, you know, maybe it's not the match that makes the most sense given their records. But as competitors, I think I actually kind of like this match. I think the Scream Queens could do well against them, but we also don't know how, you know, like Paul and Eric work together. I guess we'll find out. But do you guys like this match potential happen? James?
I like the potential of it. Like you said, it's kind of hard to picture this one as the first team up with Paul and Eric. So I'm not sure if there's a better matchup out there that I can think of off the top of my head. I haven't really put a lot of thought in who I'd like to see them play other than the Scream Queens. But I think it would be a good matchup. You know, they're no slouches. It's not just horror movies. They know their stuff. So I don't think it would be a pushover by any means.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thing too. It's hard to envision this match just because the Scream Queens are an established team. And obviously, you know, they haven't played yet, you know, Paul and Eric. So it's just weird to have them calling out someone right away who has a record.
Right.
Usually you try and go up against a rookie or someone with a negative record. And it's a little weird. I do kind of like the potential of it, but we'll see. Brandon, any thoughts on this upcoming match potential?
I think it has some good potential. I think it's a fair matchup based on the current pool of teams that are out there that they could be competing against. The only other logical choice would be for another rookie team to come up and have them both play each other. That's normally a good way for rookies to come into the league, is to play other rookies. But yeah, overall, I think yeah, the Scream Queens would be a good matchup. And I think that, you know, a lot of people would say that Oyama is obviously the stronger player, but I don't think he would carry Zipper. I think Zipper proved in that Inner Geekdom match that he's a lot more resilient than people think. And I think that especially under Kaiser's tutelage, I like to think that we'll be seeing a lot more from Eric Zipper, especially now that he's paired up with Paul.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like Eric Zipper. I don't quite like the defeatist Eric Zipper that's been showing up these last couple matches.
He's got a bit of an attitude.
He definitely does. And this match in particular, he showed up and he was just like, I've got the most bad ass entrance song of all time. You cannot walk out to the X-Men animated theme song and just be like, I'm here. Like that. I was like, what a cool song. This is going to be a great entrance. And then he just walks out and he's just like, all right, let's go. what a what a letdown. That was definitely on purpose. But I mean, it was definitely on purpose. They're like, I mean, that's definitely part of the character he's trying to play, and I appreciate that. But yeah, oh man, I want him to get past this defeatist Eric because I think he's a great character and he's definitely underused, and so I'm ready to see him play more. And so maybe with Paul as his teammate, he'll get to be able to show up more because Paul's also kind of underused. He's only had 2 singles matches and no teams matches yet. So three. Well, we haven't talked about the third one. So yeah, technically he's had 3. Yeah, you're right.
We'll get there.
Yeah. It's just when the rookies come in at the beginning of the year and then they don't get any matches until the middle of the year, again, it's hard to see their potential. It's hard to see their characters and all that. And then when you have someone who's kind of in the middle of the pack that doesn't get a lot of matches, they're in the same boat. So I'm ready to see these guys like actually show up more and, let us be able to get to know who they are. So let's talk about some cutscenes because we had some cutscenes in this match. A really interesting one and something that led to one in the next match. So the first one was this cutscene between Dagnino and Roca, and basically just can Roca trust Tom, I think is the general gist of what this was. He's coming into this being a long-time enemy of Dagnino, right? Roca has long been fighting against the factions that Dagnino has been hosting, and finally they're teamed up. It's something I've been wanting for Roca for a long time. I think and I've said it a lot, he is a competitor who would benefit from a manager. I cannot wait for their first match where he has Tom on the sidelines managing, because he gets in his own head. He does stupid things when he gets in his own head. He needs someone to just pull him out of it and just do the trivia, because he could be so much better. There are so many matches that he loses because he just gets in his head. So I'm so excited that he has a manager finally. But that leads to the question, can Roca actually trust Tom? And the cutscene next, which we can just talk about now since they lead into each other, where Roca is picked to be Tom's competitor for the Manager Bowl, maybe leads us to think, yeah, I think he can. But is this a long game con? I mean, is this Tom leading Roca and Merle on so that something can happen down the road? Are they going to implode the Horsemen, him and Ben? Is this a long game con? I don't want to believe it, because I think Tom really has turned over a new leaf. But at the same time, if there's anyone in the Schmoedown who would do this, it would be him and Ben. So as the former boss baby, Brandon, do you have any take on this? Is Tom to be trusted in this scenario?
Boss baby, Mini Bateman, the Ben turn, I've heard them all. But I don't think there's a long con. I think Tom, he's a bit of a loose cannon, but he can be trusted. I think he's proven to be one of the greatest managers, if not the greatest manager of all time. I mean, let's be honest, the Lion's Den back in the day, arguably the greatest faction of all time, with the Patriots' dominance for over a year. So he has the experience of managing championship caliber players. I just think it's going to take some time for him and Roca to probably see eye to eye. I think Roca, he's been doing it by himself for so long. He might be difficult to manage at first, but I really do believe that Tom he's serious about winning, and he's done with the nonsense, and he's just ready to get some W's.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point you brought up, that Roca might not be the easiest competitor to manage. He's not the easiest competitor to do anything with. I'm sure he's not the easiest teammate. Nost and him are such good friends that I'm sure they kind of just gelled together. But you can see sometimes when he gets into it with someone, Dan just, gets really uncomfortable and tries to pull him back. You can see that there's a little bit of you're going a little too far, buddy, in Dan's demeanor sometimes. And so, yeah, I'm sure that he's not going to be the easiest person to manage, but I really hope that he kind of like leans into it because he needs a manager. and yeah, Tom is, if not the best, one of the best managers the Schmoedown has ever had. It's like the match made in heaven that I never knew I wanted. And also the Horsemen could take over the league, and that sounds so fun. James, what do you think about...
He's the best manager of all time. It's level like that. And
everyone's got their own opinions, Abe. I'm just saying. You know?
And every single other opinion is wrong.
Everyone's opinions are wrong except yours. I know.
Exactly. Thank you. Continue. Sorry.
James, do you think that Tom can be trusted, or is this a big con and we're all going to be real sad in about 5 months?
Well, thank you, Chris. And after being so rudely interrupted, look, I would follow Tom Dagnino anywhere on earth. That man is just, he's the best. I don't know what it is about Tom. He's just so charismatic. He's so just peculiar that I don't want to even put it into the universe that he might be trying to implode the Horsemen, who are my boys. I don't want to see the Horsemen be brought down. And I think Tom is, like Brandon said, he really got the Lions Den to the top. I mean, he got them belts, he got them prestige. And I think that with Tom in his corner, Roca will be a contender for the belt again. I think Dan is an unstoppable force. And I think they could team up and they could go after those tag team belts. I think all they need right now is they need an IG player, and that could be the best faction that we've ever seen.
Yeah, they need a Star Wars player too, which, you know, I'll bring up again how many times Roca has said he's going to join the Star Wars League, and how many times I've laughed and said, that's not going to happen. Yeah.
If you miss Bespin, you can't be in the Star Wars.
Well, he wouldn't miss it now.
Hey, from Bespin to destined, okay? It's in the past.
It's gonna happen one day. That thing that they promised us will happen at some point in our lives. Yeah, they do need an Intergeekdom player in that 5 Horsemen. Will it still be called the 5 Horsemen if they add another player?
They're only at 4 now.
Well, I mean, is Tom a Horseman?
No, he's the manager, so he's not a competitor. So he's still 4 Horsemen plus a manager.
That's fair.
Christian has hinted that Tom doesn't necessarily count as number 5. And
see, he counts. He counts to me. He counts to me.
Counts to all of us.
It makes sense. It makes sense. He's not really a competitor, you know, unless you count him doing the Rocky match.
Yeah, and that's not really canon, so.
It's not canon. Yeah, no, that's accurate.
Canon all day. I love it.
All right. All right, let's move on. My take is that it's probably not a long con. I just don't like the idea of Tom having this character growth and then it being like this dastardly plan. If it did happen, would I enjoy it? Yes. Yes, I would. It would be very entertaining. But at the same time, I think Kaiser's kind of moving into the role that Tom vacated of being, you know, the heel type manager that has a lot of like quick comebacks. And we're going to talk about one of those quick comebacks coming up because it is one of the funniest lines of the Schmoedown this year. I cannot wait to talk about it. But we have another cutscene to talk about. So we have Brendan Meyer and Whitney, and there is some tension in the air between Whitney and Bibiani because Whitney had no idea that Bibbs has been kind of tutoring, maybe, you know, bringing the kid into the league. He had no idea that this was happening. And now maybe there's some tension within the ranks of critically acclaimed. And last week we said on the summit that maybe Brendan would just be joining into their team and that Whitney and Mark Hoyk would just be a team still and that Brendan could be joining with Bibbs. You know, we also said that maybe just they start their own faction, a critically acclaimed faction, and Brendan could be joining in. Now it's kind of looking like maybe Whitney is going to step away from this whole thing. And I don't know how I feel about that. And I wish we had Chris Clark on so we could watch him cry, but we we don't. So just imagine him falling out of a chair, and you'll get his reaction to if Whitney quits critically acclaimed. James, what do you think's going on with Whitney and Bibbs and the kid?
It definitely looks like there's some tension. I tell you, I wasn't a big fan of the previous cutscenes between them. I thought they were kind of fun, but I didn't really see a long game. And this one is where I could finally kind of see the wheels turning a little bit. I thought that Brendan was. I mean, I love Brendan Meyer. I think he is fantastic as a competitor, as a person, as an actor. I think he's great. But the cutscenes between him and Viviani were just kind of, goofy and playful. So I was like, okay, I'm not quite sure where this is going to go. But to see the way that he reacted with Whitney, and you can kind of see that there might be a wedge going in there with Brendan trying to break them up, maybe, or maybe Viviani's just sick of it. I don't know, but I like where it's going. I like the options that it could, come to. So I'm interested, and I wasn't interested 2 weeks ago. So I like this cutscene a lot.
Yeah, I kind of am with you. I thought that the whole lead in to, Bibbs talking to the kid a lot, I thought the cutscenes were cute. I thought they were interesting. I think Brendan's character is one that we desperately needed in the Schmoedown. It's like the wide-eyed, innocent kind of person that the Schmoedown really hasn't had a lot of. We've had a lot of people who are just themselves. We've had a lot of people who are like the pivotal good guys, the old Mike Kalinowskis, the White Knights. And then we've had a lot of the new Kalinowskis, the dastardly, not White Knights. We've had a lot of the big dynamic people. We haven't had someone like Brendan in the league who's just been like happy-go-lucky. I'm just happy to be here. I love his character. And I think that the way that these cutscenes have been with Bibbs have been really cute. And I agree with you that this really put importance on all those cutscenes, and it really made them like, I am interested in where this is going now. Before I was just like, oh, this is cute. It's like the anime movie, the Boy and the Beast, or the Beast and the Boy. No,
No.
It's a good movie. You ever should watch it. Maybe I'll make a Photoshop of Bibbs and him on the cover of that movie. And
it's not an IG. I'm not watching it.
You know what? Anime should be an IG, but whatever. That's fine. Abe says I won't. You're right. I won't. But yeah, it's cute. And this makes it like something to be watching in the future. You probably know more about what's going on here, Brandon. Pretend that you don't. But what do you think is happening with this whole storyline as we move forward to Collision?
Listen, as a hitman, I know all of the Schmoedown secrets, and I could sell them to you for a price.
How much money? I need the secrets.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
What do you think's going with this cutscene? Like, where do you think it's going leading into Collision?
You can't remember the question. You think he's going to know secrets? Come on.
That's true. I assume that this specific cutscene is going to have some sort of resolution moving into Collision, just because we've had so much lead up to Collision with these cutscenes happening.
Yeah, I mean, Whitney, he's got an attitude all of a sudden out of nowhere. I don't know if, like, him and Zipper have been drinking out of the same water fountain or what, but yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised after what I'm going to call his outburst with Brendan. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe them going separate ways and maybe Brendan teaming up with the Beast. I don't know. I mean, if they were able to form their own faction, that would be awesome. But based on that cutscene, I don't know if it's happening. So just have to wait and see. I don't know.
Just to give you guys a heads up, it's thundering really bad. So if I just leave all of a sudden, you'll know why.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, we should move on to the next match so we can make sure you talk about it. We have Oyama and Chance, which a lot of people were looking forward to. I mean, I was looking forward to it a lot, just because these guys have been talking so much smack, and I honestly am just ready for them to be done talking smack. Will they be done talking smack to each other? No, probably not. They're still probably going to do it. It's probably going to be like tomorrow. They're going to be back at it, which is fine. I'm sure that they need someone else to talk to every once in a while. But yeah, so this was really a fantastic match. Definitely lived up to its hype. You had great trivia by both people. Chance with his perfect round 1, Paul with his really great round 2, and then round 3, which honestly, Chance he just didn't know the movie. I mean, he knew it was a movie that existed, but just didn't know what the movie was about. You can't do anything with that. It's just, at least he lost in a way that it wasn't like a brain fart or something, So he has no reason to be upset about his loss in any way. He played a fantastic game. Maybe his round 2 wasn't the way he wanted it to go, but again, if you don't know the movies, there's nothing you can do. But yeah, let's talk about this match real quick, and I want to hear everyone's thoughts about this match between Chance and Oyama. We'll start with James. What do you think about this one?
I thought it was a great match. I don't think there was enough build up to this match, though. I don't think it was promoted as much as it really should have been. You have two of the best competitors that come out of the fan leagues. You have two trash talkers. You have two big mouths. You have two basically the same character. But look, it's a match that a lot of fans wanted to see for a long time when they were both brought in, pretty close to each other. So I think that there should have been a lot more promoted about this match. They should have been tweeting out about it. It should have been more posts on the websites, on Facebook and stuff. But the match overall was really, really good. And I think that the promotion would have helped even better. I do think that Paul kind of had an easier path to the win, though. His round 2 questions felt much easier than Chance's spy movie questions, in my opinion.
Thriller,
but
right?
Yeah. Not spy. I can't remember. I watched too many things. But I do remember the questions were much harder.
They were.
But at the same time, you answer the questions you're given. Chance did a good job kind of maneuvering through it, and he had a chance to win at the end. Just didn't know the movie. But I thought that the entire thing was competitive. You didn't have anybody blowing anybody out of the water. It's what everybody wanted to see, a good competitive match, and it went down to the wire.
Yeah, and I totally get your point about Chance's round 2 being harder. I mean, you look at the questions that Chance missed. Paul wasn't able to get that steal on those questions, which really just shows how hard those questions were, because you have two guys who really know their trivia, and neither of them really knew what was coming up in that category. I didn't even know the first movie that came up existed. Like, I had never even heard of it. So, man, deep cuts. And yeah, newer releases, I think they can either go either way. Sometimes the new release category is really hard. And this was just one match where the new release questions seemed to be a little more top level, while Chances were all kind of deep cut questions. Yeah. So I totally agree with you, but that is the wheel round in a nutshell, where you can completely be screwed by the wheel and it costs you a match. And that's kind of why we like the Schmoedown. Everything's
you never knew what's going to happen.
It's true. It's you really never know. Brandon also really never knows what's going to happen. Just that's it. That's all I wanted to say. No, I'm just joking. Yeah. So what did you think about this match? Were you there for this one?
Yes. I'm pretty much there for all of them. When I'm not competing, I'm working behind the scenes. But I don't know why I did that.
It was very uncomfortable.
To be honest, guys, I'm pretty tired right now.
Me too. But it's okay. We worked through it.
Yeah. So, but it was a great match. It came down to the wire. Both Chance and Paul played great matches, as much as I despise them both. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would have to agree that in this match, obviously, it looked like Chance had harder questions to deal with, and he played really well. He played through it, and I think even to get to this point, I think Chance has had to face tougher competitors. He's had to play Ethan Irwin and Janine the Machine, and Paul. I love Brendan Meyer. I think he's really talented, but it was his rookie match. Maybe wasn't quite in the groove yet, and so it's going to be interesting to see what happens down the road when Paul is going for this title shot. He's got one more match to play in before he has the opportunity to potentially play Dan Murrell, and that's where the real test is going to be. So I'm excited to see if it gets that far and what happens if it does. But we'll just have to see how things play out this week and that collision.
Yeah, because we have coming up there. Paul's next match is going to be whoever wins JTE and Liz Shannon Miller.
Yeah.
Whoever wins that match is going to be playing Paul, which is going to be objectively, I think, a really great match. I think whoever wins that match will definitely be Paul's kind of like second big match, because I agree with you. I think that his path to this has been a lot easier, and that's nothing against the competitors that he's played. It's just you know, Chance has played people with a lot more legacy in the Schmoedown. I mean, they've had a lot more chances to play. They have more experience. It speaks a lot to the Schmoedown players, just how much experience you have playing. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what Paul does against someone like JTE, if JTE wins, against like his first true competitor with a lot of legacy behind them, or another rookie type player. If Liz Shannon Miller can beat JTE, I think that would be fantastic. Honestly, I think that would be just the best twist, because I think everyone's kind of expecting JTE to play really well and just beat her. We'll see. I'm really excited for it. I cannot wait for this match. James, do you like this upcoming match between Paul and whoever wins JTE and Miller?
I do. I think it's a good match coming up. I think JTE gets overlooked quite often, though. Everybody, just thinks of him as Snyder's partner. But I mean, he is a formidable force of trivia knowledge. He has his gaps, as we all do, but when it comes to general trivia, he is right up there with the best of them. So I don't think that it would be any sort of a pushover if Paul plays him. And Liz Shannon Miller has proven, why Ethan Irwin has talked so highly of her. She knows her stuff, and she's coming in and swinging a bat right away. So I'm excited to see, what happens. I'd love to see Liz Shannon Miller win that match and just kind of go on this trajectory of this rookie sensation, and you have another rookie sensation. So it'd be fun to see, the winner of that match have to face Dan and probably get demolished.
Yeah, and I mean, I've said it multiple times, but I'll say it again. The rookies this year have been fantastic. So good. And I'm sure that this Intergeekdom match that's coming up will continue to produce really great rookies. I hear great things about the match, not from the person in the panel, actually. I haven't heard anything about the match from him. However, I hear good things from other people about this match. So I'm really excited for this to go live to everybody. Brandon, do you agree that the rookie crop this year has just been fantastic? And who do you think's going to be going up against Paul in the collision?
I do agree that it's been an excellent pool of rookies so far, especially from the singles division. And I think, including myself, I think we're going to be seeing some more competitive players in the Intergeekdom League. I think me and Chandru and potentially maybe some other people down the road, I think are going to fill out a really good rookie class, and that league is going to be much more competitive down the road, which is why I got to keep studying. But, I think, JTE is a former champion, but Liz Shannon Miller, she's proven that she knows her stuff. Ethan Irwin has spoken very highly of her, and she's just like calm, cool, and collected up there. Like nothing phases her. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, the only worry I have against Liz is the match that she had previously, objectively, was not a great match. And while she did win it, matches like that can really play on people's minds. We've seen it happen before. And so that's my only reservation with saying that I, think she's going to win this one, just because, sometimes having a bad match can throw you off your game. It's only your second match, so it's hard to tell whether or not that's going to be something that, really plays with her mind. But I do think that she has a lot of potential to be one of the top tier players in the Schmoedown in the singles. So,
but as a flip side to that, Kristen, I got to say, though, sometimes when you have a bad match and you win, it gives you more confidence. Say, look, I didn't perform to my abilities, and I was still able to somehow get the win. So next time when I actually perform up to my standard, I know I'm going to win.
Yeah, and there totally is such a thing as a sophomore slump, right? Like,
yeah.
It happens to, people in actual school, which is why they call it a sophomore slump, but also in like sports and Schmoedown. We've seen it time and time again. So this could just be a little blip in the road for her, and she could just keep going up from here. So it'll be interesting to see. Honestly, I think this match is one that I'm looking forward to more than most. And it sounds weird just because it is someone who's kind of under the radar right now, but I'm happy that JTE's back in the league. I think that it's going to be good to see him more. And I'm also just really excited to see another really good female player entering the league, because we've had a few of them step away. We've had a few of them who, they've got their belts and they don't want to be in singles anymore. Well, they don't have the belts anymore, but fingers crossed they have them back soon. But, there's just a lot of shakeup. And especially with the female players, it's a lot harder for them to stay active in the league because of how much harsher the internet is. That's just a sad reality. But yeah, I'm excited for her to play more, and I hope that she does well. But I am going to give the edge to JTE because I just, he has experience. I always usually give the edge to experience if there's not anything telling in the previous performances. So he does have my vote on who's going to win this match, but I do think that Liz's story moving forward would be more interesting if she won this one. So that's what I think. I want to talk real quick about Kaiser in these promos because he said about corruption. I laughed so hard. He said that they look like they're like a Wicca convention in Arizona. And I laughed. I laughed for like 2 minutes. I had to pause the video because it was, I don't even think it was that funny, but just the way this line was delivered and like the way he said it, and it came out of nowhere. It was so funny. And he feels so much like Dagnino 2.0, and that's not a bad thing. It's kind of needed because Tom has changed his character a little bit. So there's this big void, and we're finding that Kaiser is kind of stepping into that void. He even said like he had business in like Guatemala or something, like Bora Bora. He said he had business in Bora Bora, which is totally something that Tom said like last year, like I'm out in Croatia selling hats or something, like I'm not complaining about him being Tom 2.0. 0%. I think it's genius. I love it. But do you guys kind of agree? Like Kaiser's character as a manager, especially in the promos, I think he is just shining for days. Do you guys agree with me?
Yeah, I think he's been really entertaining to watch. As a fan of the Schmoedown, he's brought new life to it. And especially, I think it was this match when he kind of had that interaction with Grace, right? And was it this one? Yeah.
He was like,
that woman's dangerous.
Yeah, he's like,
she terrifies me or something.
Yeah.
It's funny because
I died. That's so funny.
And that's like what he's doing so well is that he's kind of like a heel and like a badass in a lot of ways, but he also shows that vulnerability where like he's really scared of Grace. Which I think is just great character work. And this is me talking outside of the Hitman, like as Brandon. It's been really great to see, and I think him and the dungeon has been really great for the Schmoedown.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Kaiser's the best thing that's happened to the Schmoedown this season, along with Smets coming in and just destroying people. It's basically that WCW Goldberg figure. Smets has come in and just everybody, he's just knocked down the walls and just destroyed every player he's come into. And Kaiser as his mouthpiece has just been phenomenal. Every word out of Kaiser's mouth is just a gem. And I look forward to every time I see him on screen. I'm not a big fan that Zipper and Paul are going to be teaming up with him. It looks like, I prefer to cheer for Kaiser a little bit more as like kind of tweener guy. But I think his character has just been fantastic. His work on the microphone is unparalleled. I can't wait to hear him speak more. Just give him a microphone, let him talk. I'll listen to it for hours.
Yeah, I think we're going to get more of him, especially with the cutscene we had. We'll talk about that now, as well as Kaiser choosing Zipper to represent him in the manager bowl. Not who I thought he was going to pick, but then Paul is already going to be in the collision. So it makes sense, honestly. And I don't really know, like Smets is so busy, studying for Inner Geekdom. He has no time to watch anything else. You think he has time to watch other movies? No. If you heard his call on live, you know what his studying technique is. And he doesn't have time to do anything other than watch Inner Geekdom movies. Like, that guy watches a lot of movies and they're all Inner Geekdom. And that sounds, one, awesome, and also terrible. But this cutscene was Kaiser and Zipper talking, and just, Zipper's feeling really uncomfortable with himself right now, and Kaiser is being the good guy that he is and just saying, "You got this, man. We're going to go into this next match and we're going to own it." And I loved it, and I want Kaiser to be my motivational speaker for my life. I would do so many more things if he was just sitting there telling me I could do it. I want it. I want it in my life. James, what do you think about this cutscene and also the decision for Zipper to be Kaiser's representative in the manageable?
I think you nailed it. I think he was the only choice with Paul already competing in the collision, and Smets basically, just outside of IG. He's, not a strong competitor. He'll admit that himself because his focus 100% is on IG movies. So I think Zipper was the only one to really choose there. I wasn't a huge fan of the cutscene. I don't like where Zipper's at right now. So this one here is just more kind of that wallowing. But I liked where Kaiser was at, telling him to pick it up. He's got it. Giving him that confidence. So hopefully we'll see Zipper back into his confident self here pretty soon. He's got a tall task because that's going to be one hell of a desk for the Managers Bowl.
Yeah, especially now that we know Roka's on it. Man, that...
Janine.
Janine, Roka, and Zipper, I think, are the only...
Those are the three that are announced, right?
And that is a hard table. I mean, I said it last week. This could be the best match of Collision, depending on who you get at the table. This could be the best match of...
It's going to be fantastic just because of all the shit talking.
Well, besides that, I mean, the managers don't have to focus on playing, so all they have to focus on is talking bad about each other. It's going to be perfection.
You're going to have Dagnino, Kaiser, and Jay all standing there just talking trash the entire match. It's going to be anarchy, and I love it.
I can imagine it, and it makes me happy. It makes me very happy. Brandon, what do you think about this cutscene, Zipper, and also the Manageable?
I think, like I said earlier, I'm not going to underestimate Zipper anymore. Like you said, he showed a lot of resiliency in that IG match against Adam Hlavac. And I mean, look at Kaiser. I mean, look at Smets, and now with Oyama too. I mean, that dude's just cranking out potential championship caliber players. So, I mean, why not Zipper too, right? So it's gonna be really interesting to see. And actually, I think Janine wasn't announced until my match that aired today, but that's okay. He was the only logical choice because the other choice was Ethan Owen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, according to Garth in the chat, what's up? Hey?
It's in the website.
Yeah, according to Garth in the chat, he said it's on the website that it's Roka, Stacy, Zipper, and Janine. So yeah, that's a hard table right there because you got three people really that are overlooked a lot in the Schmoedown who have shown that they can be like surprisingly good with Stacy and Janine and Zipper. And then you have Roka, who can be the most dominating person in the league and can also get in his head with all the smack talking that's going to be happening in this match. This is a match that could easily be something where he just like spazzes out and has a bad performance. I hope he doesn't, because he's still one of my favorite competitors. But at the same time, I have a lot of friends at the desk now. Well, I have one friend at the desk, and John. I guess he's a friend. So I have a lot of friends at the desk. It makes my life really difficult.
It's only 4 people in the Manager Bowl?
Yes, because Roxy is not allowed to.
I mean, there's an always to be determined player because it's missing either Guy or McQueenie.
Oh, that's right. I
Oh.
was thinking there's 5 managers
Yeah,
that get.
there's a
Yeah.
TBD.
Naturally, I always forget about Robert Meyer Burnett
I
because
forgot about Robert Meyer Burnett too.
Oh,
so
Yeah.
he's with that Trader Andrew guy.
He
I'm
is.
telling
Sorry.
people
Yeah.
shouldn't overlook Janine though. She's
They
hungry.
really shouldn't.
She
They
is
really
hungry, and she's one hell of a competitor. And I think she's being overlooked far too often.
Well,
Her
she's
match
been
against
working
Chance
really
was
hard.
ridiculous, and I still think she should have won that match. His 5-point question was so much easier. I will get
The
off my
5-point
soapbox.
question was a 1-point question in a match of Jeff Snyder versus Sam Levine in June of 2016.
Boom!
This is why we have Abe on
Truth
the show,
bomb,
ladies and gentlemen.
Truth
He
bomb.
knows the Schmoedown better than anyone else. You can watch the unaired match between him and Matt to prove it.
I won't.
All right, so that's it for these matches. Obviously, we're all really excited about Collision happening live this weekend. We're not going to preview it because we have to have something to talk about next week. Other than to say that you can buy the tickets to watch it live, or if you are on the Patreon, you can watch it through the Patreon link. But it's going to be great. It's going to be action-packed, full of great things, but we won't know the full list of who's showing up until after this week. So we have some stuff to talk about next week's matches. Real quick, we have 3 matches, but we can't talk about one of them. There's a big question mark on the website. Literally to be decided what this match
Brandon,
is going to be.
what's that question mark movie? Or what's that question mark match? Tell us. You know. Come on.
When does it say that?
I have no idea. In any case, I have my suspicions about what this match is, but I don't.
Is it the TBD undercard? Is that the one?
Yes, it's the TBD undercard. I have
Okay.
suspicions about this match. We can talk about it real quick. My suspicion is that this is the Founding Fathers taking on Jeff and Mark. And
Will you put that as an undercard? Will that be an undercard?
well, it would be a surprise if it was an undercard, wouldn't it?
Founding Fathers versus Odd Couple?
Yeah, I think they're using their belts,
Very-
or they're using his free for all win on this undercard.
Well, assuming they don't lose the belts this weekend.
No,
And
but the undercard plays before Collision.
Oh, that's this week.
Yeah, Collision is this week.
I should-
So this match plays on Friday and leads directly into Collision. We
Oh,
could
man.
literally be seeing the Founding Fathers facing up against the Shire Wolves at Collision.
That would be like
That would be epic.
The
that'd be like
biggest surprise
that'd
of
be the
all.
biggest twist that we've ever seen in the show.
That's why I want it to happen.
I think Roxy would probably kill somebody if that happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
I know that this is a long shot, and I know that it probably isn't going to happen, but I want it to happen. The cool guy in the chat says he thinks the undercard is going to be Mike versus Janine. Yeah, that's probably a safer bet. Way to burst my bubble with a good answer. I still like my answer better, so one can dream.
That's playing before Liz and JTE, correct?
It is playing before Liz and JTE. Do you guys have any? Well, Brandon probably knows. If you had to guess, what would you think this TBD match is? Brandon, you can just be quiet. James.
Well, I was gonna say, like,
Yeah,
normal.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, normally I'm really good at BSing this sort of thing, but I do know what it is, and I'm just not gonna say anything.
Yeah, I think it's safer if you don't. James, what do you think this one's gonna be?
I know nothing, and I think after he said it in the chat, I think that makes a lot of sense. It'd be Mike and Janine. So yeah, that's where if I had to put money on something, I'd throw it on that. Although I really wish it was your match.
Yeah. Okay. So Garth just knows, he just lives on the website, because I literally checked the website today and it said TBD, and apparently now it says Mike and Janine. So why do I even check the site? Because every time I check it, it's wrong. Fine. My dreams have been burst. My happiness is over.
Just blame it on Bibiani.
I blame it on Bibiani. Thank you for running my life. Janine and Mike, I think, is going to be a great match. It's going to be a great undercard for what's going on. But now I'm really sad.
JT, Liz Shannon.
I'm really sad. Oh, well. Okay, well, we won't have a big surprise. Just know that what could have been, guys, what could have been the most surprising lead up to Collision of all time. Just keep that in your brain as you go into this week. Okay, so let's talk about who we think's going to win. Brandon, I don't know that you can talk about who you think's going to win the IG 4-way match, but James, if you had to pick someone,
I'd love to talk about.
who do you think's going to win, Brandon? Yourself?
I think you don't count out this Hitman guy. He's pretty good. Pretty good at taking people out. So, playing 3 people at the same time, that's just like target practice, Another day of the office.
There you go. James, who do you have winning this match? It's Chandro, who now I know who he is because he's in the Facebook group apparently, and Marcy and
Marky.
Thank you, and Chance, and then this other weird guy. We don't know.
Yeah, look. When I found out that Brandon was going to be competing this year, and then I found out that his first match is going to be a fatal 4-way, I was a little bit nervous. But at the same time, I mean, I'm looking at what he does. I know how Brandon studies. I've quizzed Brandon many times. I know what he does to prepare for a match. So I'm 100%, backing my former teammate. I know what he knows. I don't know what he knows, but I know what he knows. So I'm 100%. It's team business casual for life. I got Brandon Hanna in this match.
You know what? And I'm not saying this just because he's on the stream, but I actually do also have Brandon. I don't know what Chance's inner geekdom knowledge is like, just because I don't really, I know one of his strengths is comic book movies, but at the same time, I've never actually seen him kind of be in an inner geekdom match yet.
So trying to speak about this objectively, Chance obviously has the experience in the Schmoedown. And he actually, in the Jack of All Trivia fan league, he was the Inner Geekdom champion at one point in time.
That's fair.
So he knows his stuff. Chandru, I've seen him around the studio many times. He also knows his stuff. And Keaton is also another experienced IG player. So I'm not taking anybody lightly in this match or any match that I could potentially be in. Never underestimate your opponent, because that's how you lose.
That's fair.
I will not be doing that.
That's very smart.
But,
and
that being said, Chance is evil and he's going down.
That's true. I don't watch a lot of the fan leagues just because I can barely even. I don't. Every once in a while, if I have a friend in a match, but I don't watch very often because I just honestly, who has time to watch all these fan leagues? I love you guys. You guys put on a great. Malcolm, it's true. You guys all put on a great product, and when I do get a chance to watch them, I love them. You guys just do a great job, but I have so much going on with my life. I can't even watch a Schmoedown match on time. So yeah. But yeah, you have one person at the table who's the only person with experience in Inner Geekdom, and then you have Chance, who's got the experience overall. My only reservation about picking Chance to win, not that I don't think he can, I think he's fantastic at trivia, but he has been focusing on singles and teams, and it's a lot to study for singles and teams, and also study for Inner Geekdom and be competitive in Inner Geekdom. You've seen it with Mike, where all he does is study for Inner Geekdom, and his singles kind of suffers a little bit. He's kind of getting a good balance, a way to study for both, and you've seen that recently last year, I think, in the end of the year, where he had a really good run with teams with Chance. He was able to kind of balance studying for both of them, but it's really hard to do both. And so that's kind of my reservation for Chance. And then Chandra, I don't know him, so I'm going to take Brandon's word on him as being a good competitor. But I do know Brandon's matches because I have watched some stuff because he's a friend.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying, Kristen, because I've been studying like mad for just general movie knowledge, and I can't compete in IG. I mean, I understand, how Chance has to study for his, general singles matches. And it's a lot of information to retain when you don't know what movies you have to study for. And you're just trying to absorb absolutely everything. So I put Chance on a little bit of a disadvantage. That's why I think Brandon, I know how he's been studying leading up to this match. So I've got to give him the edge.
Yeah, and that's really what I was going for with that. Is it is a lot harder to study for everything and then study for just a little bit. And also the Jack of all trades inner geekdom stuff is really broad, much broader than the Schmoedown, if I'm not mistaken.
Jack of all trivia, I don't know about theirs. I know multiplexes is much more broader.
Jack of all trivia is very, very similar to the Schmoedown.
Oh, okay. All right.
Fandom and multiplex is the one that's much broader, where they also have Disney movies, and I believe Fast and Furious.
They have Fast and Furious. They have the Rocky. They have they added Jurassic Park.
Yeah, there's so many leagues now. There used to be just like two. It was so easy when there were just
this
two.
This is Take 3 fan league talk here. Now you see you got the Full Metal and
yeah, it used to literally just be Take 3 and Full Metal. It was so much easier when it was just the two of them. You know what? Yeah. So okay, thank you, the cool guy. I love our chat. I say this every week now. I love doing this live because the chat literally will tell me answers to things that I don't know. And it makes me feel good about my life when people can tell me that I'm wrong. Don't tell my husband. So yeah, video game movies, he says, also are in there. So good to know. So yeah, I just think, Brandon, you got this, man. We're going to talk to you a little bit about your debut after we get through these next two matches, who we think is going to win. Janine versus Mike. Who do we got? I got Janine, because she's my girl, and I hope she wins. Brandon, who do you got?
Well, of course I have the Machine. And Mike, he's been too busy sweating over Smets. I mean, that's all he thinks about all day long is Kevin Smets. When is he going to actually study for the singles league? Janine, I know the work that she's been putting in, and she's a friend of mine. So Janine the Machine all the way.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. I think that that Janine has I don't even know how to put it, but she's so just invested right now, that she's so hungry. I think that she's going to come into this match and really surprise a lot of people that just expect Mike to run with it. So I'm picking Janine, and I'm going with her all the way.
Yes. This is another one of those things where, like I was talking about with Chance, how he doesn't have a lot of time to study for everything. Mike has been real focused on going up against one of the toughest competitors he will ever have to face in Intergeekdom. Ever. He's been very focused on Intergeekdom. So will his singles suffer, or will he have been studying for both of them, and will they both suffer? What a gamble the Schmoedown is sometimes. This is why I love breaking down the Schmoedown, because there's so much stuff that happens behind the scenes that we can talk about that makes these matches so interesting to predict. But it is also why I'm picking Janine, because I think that he's been focusing more on Intergeekdom because he just assumes that his general movie knowledge will be up to snuff for this match, because Janine is kind of overlooked in the league. So that's why Janine's going to win this match. And the last match we have to talk about is this match between JTE and Shannon Miller. We kind of already talked about it. I think that JTE has it. Just to recap, who do you guys have on this one?
I think that I think Liz Shannon Miller is going to surprise a lot of people. She's going to have come out of that last match, like we said. She's going to realize that even playing a match that's not up to snuff for her, she's going to come into this match more confident, more prepared, that she's going to be able to win. And I think she's going to shock the world, beat JT, take on Paul.
Awesome. And Brendan, what do you think?
I think I got to go with JTE with his experience as a former champion. I might be a little biased because a long time ago, when I was merely just a fan, I was a massive Lion's Den fan. So still part of me wants to see people from that faction succeed. But I don't know. JTE, he has made his return since his scooter incident. But I don't know. Maybe some of that ring rust is still there. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, the only other match he's had since this incident was to figure out who was going to be the teammate of Lon. So
and he made his return at Free for All.
He was in Free for All.
He played great in Free for All too.
Yeah, he did. He played really well in Free for All, and obviously he won his match against Jonathan Harris, which I love Jonathan Harris. I think he is a great addition to the Schmoedown. He gets the Schmoedown, but he's not necessarily the best person at trivia. And that's not his fault. Not everyone has a trivia mind. I, for one, do not have a mind for trivia. Some of that is because I don't sleep anymore. Some of it is just because I have a bad memory. But, you know, I think that there are some people who get the show and just don't want to compete. And I'm all for Jonathan staying in the league as a manager. I think he is fantastic, and I need them to play. Why aren't the Evil Geniuses playing?
I agree.
Give them a match. Please.
Well, did what was it? The family? Did the family call out Evil Geniuses?
I think they did.
So
Yeah.
that might
Hopefully
happen
soon, because I
Look,
need it.
Lon and JT were my probably my favorite matchup when they pulled them for Anarchy. Just knowing the history between them working together and just the two personality types, I'm so excited to see them work together. Like in a match, it was cut short lived. I was really disappointed the way things went down, obviously. So I'm excited to see them play.
Yeah, and that is something I'm looking forward to as well. And since that match happened, to figure out who was going to be in the team, it's just been like tumbleweeds. Like, give them a match. Had all this buildup for who's going to be in the team, and then just like radio silence on them. Maybe it's just been scheduling, but like, they're such a good team. I love the way they work off each other, and I really want to see them in a match. We have to move on because we do need to talk to our good friend Brandon Hanna about his debut in the Schmoedown. Obviously, we're not going to talk any spoilers because the match is just out today and not for everybody. But we do want to ask you a couple questions about just your excitement for this upcoming match, as well as, you know, how you're feeling about moving into it. And so let's start it out. You know, how did this all come to be, right? Like, I know that you're working behind the scenes, but, you know, did you just putting your name out there, just putting some feelers out? And, you know, Christian was just like, Brandon, you're going to be moved up to the big leagues. You know, give us the rundown. Tell us the story behind the Hitman.
Okay. Let's see. So I've been working behind the scenes with the production staff pretty much for this entire season. And then, you know, fortunately, I have some friends that compete that were kind of in the chairman's ear a little bit, suggesting giving me a shot in IG. And one day I was, you know, working, just wrapped up an episode of Inside Schmoedown, and Christian came up to me and he was like, "Hey," he's like, "I got you an IG match." And I was like, "What?" It's like, and I was like, I got like, you know, I was like, really? Like, so I was like super excited. And from that moment on, it was just studying, because, you know, I obviously wanted to be a serious competitor. And then, you know, the match came along, and actually I didn't even know that I was going to be playing Chance until the very last minute. So that was like a major curveball that made me actually really nervous, because as much as I talk crap about Chance Ellison, he's a very, very strong competitor. So yeah, that's kind of the somewhat shortened but also somewhat detailed version of how it all went down.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's perfect. It gives us a lot of insight
Mhm.
into kind of what you're doing behind the scenes, but also how you came to be a competitor. You did mention, though, you know, you're moving into studying so that you can be a
Mhm.
good competitor. How has studying looked like for you? You don't have to give away all your secrets if you don't want. I think we do have a couple competitors who do watch these. However, you know, just tell us what you're comfortable telling us. How has studying been for this match?
So, let's see. It's like I'm trying to figure out what should I say, what shouldn't I say. I'm like, should I be the Hitman right now, or should it be Brandon right now? It's a lot to juggle. I'm
Be
also
whatever
tired.
you're comfortable
I'm also
with.
tired, like I said. So
Yeah,
you're
if you're too tired, you can just play it
It's
straight.
like,
You know,
you're just kind of getting the raw, weird Brandon that exists on a normal day-to-day basis.
it's what we like.
Yeah, thank you. So let's see, studying. So there are obviously some tips and tricks that are helpful, but overall, I would say the most important thing is to watch the movies, obviously, and make flashcards. That's like the biggest thing that anybody can do to study, not just the Inner Geekdom, but in any Schmoedown division. There's really no secret formula to it. I've discovered it's just putting in the work, and it's months and months of work, and I'm pretty far from being from where I want to be. But I think as it stands right now, I think I am a very, very solid competitor who poses a threat, and I'm just going to keep working until I'm at that level of a Rachel Cushing or a Mike Kalinowski or a Kevin Smets. You know, I want to be in that upper echelon of Inner Geekdom competitors. So that's what I'm working towards, and that's honestly the two biggest things that I've been doing, and it's paid off so far. And also, I guess just another little nugget is Star Trek used to be my biggest weakness. I had seen only the J.J. Abrams and I guess Justin Lin one film, so the Kelvin trilogy, as they call it. So I literally, once I found out I was competing, I spent an entire month studying Star Trek. And now I think it's one of my biggest strengths. So I think that's another thing is at the beginning, focus on your weaknesses, turn them into strengths, and then study up on your strengths. And I think that's worked pretty well for me, not to give anything away, but I wouldn't say that it's a spoiler that I think I put on a good show. So I think people who are looking forward to this match, I think they're really going to like what they see, not just from me, but from everyone else competing.
Yeah, I can attest to this man's Star Trek knowledge. I quizzed him on Star Trek for probably 3 straight days, and the questions that he did miss were super, super deep cuts, and by the time I asked a second time, it was already ingrained on that brain. But I do like how you just glossed over the fact of this whole transformation that you just bailed on your teammate, without a second glance. Didn't even just, he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm just not playing with you anymore. See ya.
And that's another thing too, is we'll get into this too, I guess. Why not? I've known for a while now that I was going to be in the Schmoedown, and I was competing in the fan leagues. I was obviously on a team with James, and I just kind of had to bail and just disappear and not tell anybody why. And it was really awkward, and I hope I didn't offend anybody. But, and I do feel bad for leaving James. Business casual. I thought we were one of the most entertaining teams at that time. Maybe not the best team, but a good team that was fun to watch. And yeah, so that was unfortunate that I had to leave James behind. But you get called up to the big leagues. You get called up to the big leagues. You gotta take it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Christian will call up business casual to the big leagues. Wouldn't that be fun?
I gotta tell you, that would be something.
Dream come true right there.
I tell you, it's a dream. It's a dream for me to be able to team up with Brandon again on the big stage like that. But no, there's absolutely no hard feelings with you. I told you when you told me you were leaving that I wish you nothing but the best, and that you absolutely have to take this opportunity and screw these little YouTube shows. Go do the real thing. Even though that is a YouTube show technically. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, when you get, like you said, when you get called up to the big leagues, you don't say no. So absolutely, and I had no animosity whatsoever. I wish nothing but the best for Brandon. But just to kind of get your feelings on things, how did you feel when you found out you had to do a 4-way for your first match? Were you more nervous knowing that you had to compete against 3 other players versus just one-on-one, somebody you could prepare for?
Okay, I'll get into this a little bit. I hope I'm not saying too much now. He's a big softie.
No.
He's no hit man.
We'll talk about your character in a minute. You can give a taste of what we can expect.
But hell, everyone knows it's what it is. But actually, when I was first told that I was going to be competing, I was supposed to be competing against a player who I will not name, who scares the hell out of me. And that's why I was training so hard to begin with. And then later on, it was changed to this fatal 4-way. And it took a lot of the pressure off, because immediately I thought to myself, okay, like I'm playing against 3 other people. That's 3 opportunities in round 2 to get steals. So that right there is something that I could take advantage of that could help me beat a high caliber player without necessarily having to beat them straight up. And so that actually, believe it or not, put my mind at ease that I was with 3 other people. It's because I knew there was that opportunity to take advantage of. So that was a big thing. So, and then honestly, like obviously when I found out that Chance was competing, that also scared me a lot. But what that ultimately ended up having me do was just go in there with the mentality of just enjoy the moment and have fun. And so I think that's about as much as I could say. But
yeah, you've done a great job not giving anything away. I do want to ask you about your character. Is this something that you invented, or is this something that was kind of like, you're going to be this, make your character around it? And can you give us like, a taste of what we can expect? Because you're a very like happy person, and Hitman doesn't sound like necessarily it's going to be a very happy character. So.
I think so. The Hitman was not something I came up with. I don't know. I think a lot of, I don't know. Some characters I think are creations of Christian, and others are creations of the competitors themselves, and others are amalgamations of the two. So I didn't come up with the Hitman, but I have fully embraced it. I think I love being the Hitman. And I love the name of it. I love all the cheesy, gimmicky stuff that I can do with it and play around with it and have fun. And so, yeah, I don't know. I see like I'm in this weird spot right now where like, obviously I'm not like a face like a Brendan Meyer where I'm just super happy all the time, but I'm also not like a hardcore heel or like, I'm just hate everybody. Like, so it's this fine line that I think I'm like kind of this tweener right now, where I'm just like I'm a nice guy, but I've got an attitude. And
but hitmen aren't evil against everyone. They're only bad against the people who they're paid to kill. So
hitmen are all about taking care of business.
It's true. If you had to give a speech to your mortal enemy, Robert Parker, what would that sound like as the Hitman?
Well, first of all, mortal enemy Robert Parker, that is like a major inside joke that I'm sure nobody listening to this understands.
I don't care. We say a lot of things in the summit that no one understands.
Robert, if you're watching, you're not really my mortal enemy, but you also are.
I don't think even Robert Parker understands, but
no, he doesn't. But if you had, like, imagine that, your next match is against Robert Parker. How would you handle that? How would the Hitman handle the pre-match interview for that match?
Okay, let me think about this one for a second.
Yeah, put him on the spot, Chris.
Yeah,
this is what we do, guys. You're part of the Schmoedown now. You got to be on it.
Okay, so listen, Robert Parker. You're another big shot from the fan leagues, right? I've already got experience playing a big shot from the fan leagues and Chance Ellison. I've already played one of you. I have no problem playing another version. What are you just going to be, Chance 3.0? Like, come on. Like, I'm not worried. Everyone says I should be afraid of you, but hitmen show no fear. Hitmen, they get the job done. They cross names off their hit list. You're just another name waiting to be crossed out. Of course, this is all hypothetical. Bravo
for being made up on the spot. I think that was perfect. I loved it.
Robert,
I loved it. Well done.
Sorry, Robert. Sorry for throwing your name around like that.
You know what? On the summit, we live by a couple rules. Number one, at some point, I'll mention Bibiani not doing so well in his second match. There's my one. We'll also mention Robert Parker being in the Schmoedown. There's my one. So, Christian, put him in the Schmoedown. every
One day.
episode. Every episode
day.
we say it. So eventually it's going to happen.
I'd say he's earned it.
I think so. That's why I've been saying it for the past year and a half. So
No, I wouldn't want to play him.
I wouldn't. I don't play trivia anymore, and I wouldn't want to play him either. So
he's gonna have to come through me. So
that's true. This is true. Guys, I have really enjoyed this. It's been great having a couple guests on, especially you two. You guys are good friends, and it's always good to talk with you guys. Abe, do you have any questions you want to ask Brandon before we kick it?
Not at all.
Good. I'm glad you were here, Abe. You were great in our Google Hangouts chat.
I haven't watched the match, so.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? That's fine. You've been giving me a lot of really great things in our Google Hangouts chat. Abe, he does a lot, and he might not talk in the episodes, but I really, really appreciate when he is on these episodes because he does a lot and is very helpful. So, yeah, round of applause for Abe. And all right, so where can we find you guys on the internet? Obviously, Brandon, you have something big to plug, but where else can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BrandonHannah07. I hope I did a decent job. Christian, if you're watching and I gave too much away, please don't fire me. Well, if you do fire me, it was a good run.
We've had guests on who've given way more away. So Roka joined us for a family game night and literally spoiled like a match that wasn't out for 2 weeks. So I wouldn't worry about it.
That sounds about right.
Also, he said there were going to be more than 4 horsemen before like a month ago.
Yeah, he said I had an interview with him and he was like, yeah, there's going to be more than 5 horsemen. And I was just like,
4.
Or 4 horsemen. And I was like, oh, ooh, what a scoop. This was like last year.
I was going to say, this must have been before the Dan reveal.
Yeah, this was last year. Yeah. I was like, what a scoop. I don't think I have to say anything about it.
Yeah.
All right. James, where can we find you on the internet?
I feel better now.
I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and all that stuff at Gator24, G4TOR24. And you can find me writing reviews now with Brandon, actually, on his website, The Lords of Film. I haven't made a review in like a month, so I need to watch something new so I can actually write something. I started writing one, and then I forgot, and I never went back to it, so I need to do that again. But yeah, that's it.
Yep. That I didn't know you were writing reviews, so I'll have to go check them out. Thank you for letting me know. How did you not let me know? We talk all the time. All right. In the chat, I just wanted to mention and shout out Malcolm Show Rankum. This week, they're going to be doing their top 12 Schmoedown competitors of all time. Definitely check that out. It's going to be a great list. It's something we kind of go over with Rankum every once in a while to refreshen with new people. It's a great list. I've been on something similar before with him, and it's always been fun. So
you know who's not in that show? Jake Mariani and Michael Campbell. Huh? You guys understand? They'll understand.
I don't know.
They'll understand.
Abe, do you wanna plug yourself while you're talking?
Oh yeah. You can find me on Instagram at Abraham Flores25. You can find me on Twitter at Abraham F25, where I'm not an asshole and try to hide it by putting my opinion, and then disappear my Twitter, my Facebook, and all of that stuff, and then come back, and I don't know where you know who I'm talking about. Thank you very much.
As always, I only understood about half of what you were saying because you just start mumbling around like halfway. All right, you can find me, Chris. Nope. Try it again. You can find me Smith_K10, the number, not the word, on Twitter, Instagram, and Stardust, even though I don't post anything on Stardust. You can also find me right here, hosting Take 3 Reactor Summit, which you're watching right now. So if you didn't know that I hosted it, I don't know what you're doing here. And also, we might do a a reaction to a match that may or may not have dropped today. We'll see. We won't. I want to. It's not my fault. I don't want to be the only one in the reaction. I'm bad at trivia. Yeah.
I'll react to you, Kristen.
Ah, James, you already watched the match. Oh, okay. Sure you did. Yeah, that's all we got. So thank you guys all for watching. If you haven't gone and actually watched the matches, please do that. Give them a like, give them a comment, helps with the algorithm. And yeah, thank you guys all. We hope that you guys enjoyed this. And we have a great wrap up next week, which is going to be hosted hopefully by Matt and Malcolm, as I will be out of town. But yeah, that's all we got. So thank you guys. Have a good week. Take care.